You don't need more leads. You need deeper relationships. Luke Acree shares why in today's podcast.
Welcome to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast.
We're your host, David and Al Denning.
What happens when a millennial couple dives headfirst into the insurance world, scales $1 million remote business, and decides to share the journey with the world?
You get the Modern Insurance Agent.
Here, we reveal the messy, magical, and sometimes hilarious realities of building a business and a life you love.
From traveling the globe to building remote teams. Yes, even working remotely on top of a mountain in the Philippines. We're sharing insights, strategies, and plenty of laughs to help agents and entrepreneurs succeed.
Because, let's face it, success isn't just about hitting numbers.
It's about designing a life that works for you.
So let's dive in and build something extraordinary together.
Welcome back to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. Today's guest, Luke, is the president of ReminderMedia, a relationship marketing company helping over 100,000 clients stay top of mind. But before we dive in today, you can get all the resources, all the show notes, as well as how to connect with our guests. I know you're already asking. If you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, we got it all put together for you so you can go grab that. So Luke is, it's been an honor to know Luke for a while. He is a content machine, a referral marketing master, and someone who's scaled big through some even bigger challenges. And we're going to dive into that today, including some of those challenges. But what makes Luke unique is his obsession with relationships. And I mean that when I say obsession with it. It's literally what he does and helps businesses do. And we're going to talk about that today on how AI is changing the game without replacing the human connection, and how every agent can grow by building trust that lasts. So let's hop into it. Welcome to the show, Luke.
David, man, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate our relationship. You and Elle have been amazing to get to know over the years, and really proud of what you've created. So honored to be here, man.
I'm so excited to have you here as well, as especially just seeing what you've done over the years and years, getting to talk with you on the bus out at like one of the Power Player Cody events, and hearing about like just, growing the company, the staff, and all these amazing things you've done. And well, before we hop into some of that, let's rewind a little bit towards the beginning there. We don't have to always go all the way back to birth, but yeah, I mean, you were homeschooled, a big family, early entrepreneur. What were some of those early lessons growing up that shaped how you think about business today, besides, just maybe competing with siblings over dinner?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, the early days, they always form you. I feel really blessed because maybe growing up, I didn't value homeschooling as much as I do now. But, I look back now and go, wow, it gave me a different perspective. But also one thing is I thought I was going to be a musician. So I actually got really into music at an early age. Classic, maybe homeschool thing to do is my brothers and I formed a band, and we ended up having a band really I played shows from like 12 years old all the way to, 19, and thought I was going to do that, but God had other plans. But that really taught me how to engage a crowd, how to talk to people. And the main lesson I take away from that is applicable to sales too, is I always remember when we would get up on stage and we'd be performing at, a festival or coffee house even, you would see the crowd, you would have to force them to get into it. So you would say things like, hey, everybody clap your hands, and nobody would clap. And it's in that moment, that's the defining moment. Do you continue to ask them to clap your hands to the beat, or do you give in and just step back and let them set the tone? And I guess, call it just my natural personality. I was like, no, clap your hands. And I would get people to clap. And that really taught me a valuable lesson about life and business is, look, if you don't ask for it, if you don't lead the way, you're never going to get it. And I think that's translated into, what I do today from a sales perspective, content perspective, all that stuff. But that was probably one of the most defining things for me, is having to learn how to get a crowd and engage a crowd early on in my life.
So that led to that legendary charisma, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if I call it legendary, maybe awkward.
I don't know. I think the ability to connect with people, especially like groups of people, I mean, it's not like you just mentioned, it's not easy to get people into taking action and getting them to do things, whether that's clapping to a beat, whether it's marketing for their business, whether it's getting a whole team of a company on board to your vision. I mean, a lot of that takes that that charisma and that person, like I like you, I trust you, I'm gonna follow you. And so yeah, I would say that's legendary because you have built up quite the company, the following, the business, and I think that plays a big
Well, it's
factor.
interesting when you speak in public, and you've probably experienced this, is great public speakers, they don't care what the audience thinks of them, but they care immensely about the audience. And that is so hard because when you're public speaking or when you're on a podcast or when you're on the sales call, it's so hard not to care what the other person is thinking about you, and changing your demeanor and letting it affect your confidence, letting it affect your delivery. But the greatest public speakers, they're the ones that's like, I don't care at all what you think about me or my content, but I care immensely about you, which means, and another way to say it is, they're so value driven that they're not sitting there trying to impress you for their own gain. They're trying to share with you what they truly believe because they care about you and for your gain. And that translates to even sales. Like one of my pet peeves with salespeople is they dance around the point, acting like you're going to somehow woo me into or impress me into buying your product versus being very direct and stating your intention. And I think it was Grant Cardone that used to train, you got to state your intention. Hey, I would love for you, David, to try our product. I would love to be your insurance agent. I would love to be your real estate agent. Because all of a sudden you've stated your intention, you lower people's guard because now they don't feel like you're trying to manipulate them. They know what you're trying to do. You just got to come out and say it. And so I just have found that whether you're presenting to an audience or whatever you're doing, is the hardest thing is to not care what they think about you, because it's not about you. It's you trying to help them, both in sales and both in what you're delivering in public speaking. And that's hard. I still am not great at it. I care what people think. I want people listening to this to like me, right? But it's hard to deliver truths when you're trying to sugarcoat your truths through the lens of what you think someone will like. And then all of a sudden they get a half truth. And that is, something I've learned over the years.
And I think that's really important, especially with like an industry that we're both involved in with the insurance side, when we're talking about such important topics, people's lives, their finances, their health, and all these things like that. That is something that I don't want to dance around. These are things I want to cover. And I'm like, I hopefully believe I can help people with these things and come across and like, yeah, them caring about me. I also like people to like me, but hey, if I'm silly, I don't care if I'm silly or something like that. But I think, like you said, the ability to show them how much you care about them and that empathy and that connection, where I feel like the really great speakers from stage, it feels like you're talking to me almost like directly, like, and being able to communicate that connection, relationship, the intentionality, which is what, I feel like you're really good at, and you built a whole business around the relationships. And so that's what we're going to dive in a little bit about that. But first, what type of band and instruments? Was it like a glam band? Did you have like long hair and like, do the face paint?
I always wanted to grow out my hair, but it just grows out like a fro. My brothers were the dreamy guys. They had the long, nice hair that the girls loved. It was a Christian, called it Christian rock, pop, worship band. So my dad's a pastor, so grew up a pastor's kid. So we used to play a lot of, what I would call like Christian church camps, festivals, coffee houses, things like that, kind of up and down the East Coast. But
that was my upbringing a little bit. I remember my first concert was Plus One. I don't know if you remember.
Oh man, like, Plus One, dude. That's like the NSYNC of Christian music.
That was the Christian response to this was back in the day when Christianity was like, let's just make our own versions of everything. Like, we got NSYNC and Backstreet. Let's make Plus One, right? Yeah. yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And so I remember Toby Mac. Love
Toby Mac. He's still around, dude. He's still doing.
He's still rocking it, man. It was like one of my first CDs, and then like getting into rap and hip hop. Lecrae, and Lecrae was who did the hip hop. So, anyways, I love it. And so coming from all that into ReminderMedia, right? What was your vision when this got started, and how has that kind of evolved over the years as well?
Well, I think like every business, it's like the vision is just to make a living and make money, being very real. And then as you are growing something, right, and you have a passion for something, whether it's marketing or insurance, like you feel you're good at it, you can make a living out of it. And then as you are growing it, you get even bigger vision of what it could be because of your successes and your wins. Like, you always dream of winning the Super Bowl if you're the athlete. And you're playing football because you love it. But ultimately it's in the progression of building it that the vision builds, because I'd be lying if it's like you start off going, oh, it's going to be $100 million company from the beginning, and it's going to impact the world, and it's going to change lives to empower them to live a life of freedom. Like, we didn't have a vision statement down on paper. I can't even remember. Maybe we put it down 7 years ago down on paper or something like that, 8 years ago down on paper. So I wish it was like a sophisticated, glorious answer, but it really was, we're just trying to make a living, help people, and as it grew, now I look at it and go, wow, now I'm more mature and go, wow, we have a real chance to grow a business that maybe only 1% of the world can do. So that's inspiring, to build something that only 1% can do from a competitive standpoint. And then I look at it and go, wow, we can help a lot of people live a life of freedom, which is the vision that I have for the company. I want to empower entrepreneurs to live a life of freedom by what? My mission, which is tactically helping them close more deals and retain more business. Why? Because when you close deals, retain business, you get commission checks. And those commission checks can allow you to hire the people you want, go on the vacations you want to go on, send your kids to the schools you want them to go to. That's that freedom, right? And my hope is that ReminderMedia helps entrepreneurs get a little closer to that freedom, because we're empowering you by closing deals and retaining business. But ultimately, the vision for my life is to empower people to live a life of freedom. I want them to meet Luke Acree, and I kind of see it as I call it the 6 F's, but I'm maybe adding a 7th F, where essentially you're a 6-dimensional person: faith, family, friends, fitness, finance, fun. But I'm adding a 7th maybe here on this show, David, for the first time: fulfillment, right? Fulfillment, which is more maybe the impact side, the give back side. That I always felt like that plays into faith. So maybe I'll drop the 7th. But if you think about it, I want to empower people in my life to have more freedom in their faith, more freedom in their family, in their friendships, in their fitness, in their finance, in their fun, in their fulfillment. That's what's getting me up every day. Where does it start? It starts with my team. But quite honestly, it's like, hey, my employees, my team members, I want to make them super successful as a 6-dimensional person. That just fulfills me, because if you want to live a life of success, it's about you. If you want to live a life of significance, it's about others. And so that, it gets me going. And then, then it's my clients, and then it's the industry at large. But I don't know, like, to me, I go, has it evolved? It has evolved because I can see the greater opportunity. But I don't know if it's evolved much more than just, hey, I want to be as successful as I possibly can be, but my knowledge of success has evolved. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the real answer. It's like, I didn't have a glorious, and I don't know if anybody does. Maybe some people do, but I don't know. Did David and Elle have a glorious vision when you started the company?
No. And I think, I think that's a rarity when someone's just like, oh, I already see 20, 30 years in the future, and this is what's happening. I think you're right. Like, things evolve over time. Same thing with us. Like, what we initially started off as kind of a lifestyle business that allowed us the freedom, eventually moved us to like, hey, we're playing small. We can do something much bigger, have a bigger impact others. And that's where we moved into.
And be more successful. It's like levels of success. You play in high school and you're the best. And then you get to college and you're like,
very different.
Oh man, you're at the bottom of college, or mediocre at college. And then you get to the NFL, and it's like, it's just levels of competition. It's like, can I achieve this? And then you go, that's just one dimension of your life. And you should thrive. If anything's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Right. And so you should thrive and strive to be as good as you can be in these areas and giftings that God has given you. Right? God gave you a talent. Use that talent, right? The parable, don't stick it in the sand. He wants you to multiply that talent. And, I take that serious in what we're doing. But, that's kind of where my brain goes when you ask that question.
And I think that's an important point I wanted to kind of re-highlight, because I think a lot of like agents and entrepreneurs and stuff, like, oh, they almost limit themselves because they think like, oh, they don't realize like, hey, I want to have the biggest impact possible. So in order to do that, I need to grow a thriving, successful, and profitable business and be able to build this so I can have more of an impact on my team and the impact that they have on others and stuff, and which we've always viewed ourselves as helping empower like insurance agents to be able to help more people and make more bigger impact that way. Like we can have a bigger impact that way than just doing an agency ourselves, for example. And so that's what we've chosen for ourselves as far as the impact. But I think a lot of people like, oh, like I'm not trying to build something big. I want to focus on this, but it's like, hey, if I really want to have the impact, then that's kind of a part of it. And so that kind of leads into,
well, to scale something big too. And sorry to chime in over you, but it's like, I've realized, why do you need a vision statement? Why do you need a mission statement? Why do you need values? Like they're words on paper for most organizations. It's like, why do you need them? Well, the bigger you get and you have more relationships and more people, technically more employees, team members, you realize that, oh man, there has to be a centralized objective standard, not a Luke Acree subjective standard, not a, this is for me lining my pockets, what I want. It's for me to go, hey, both you, David, on my team, Luke on the team himself, Bob over here on the team, we're all here for the vision and the mission. That's our objective reality. And so now I can I can lead based upon that, because it brings in the ability to have guidelines and rules and why we do what we do. So the real practicality of a vision and mission, I only learned this later on, and which is why I put it down on paper, is going, oh, I get it now. Because when I sit in a meeting and I have to tell David, you're doing something wrong, and I have to tell you have to get better. If I don't have a vision and mission that I can point to and values that I can point to, guess what? It's Luke Acree telling you. It's about Luke Acree. It's about what he wants. But when it is outside of me, it's bigger than me. It's so much easier and better and more effective to lead a community based upon standards that are objective, that everybody has agreed to, versus feeling like you're just working for a boss, a taskmaster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be like if like military units or divisions weren't aligned and with what they're doing and those values, those goals, and or a sports team, right? Like everybody's off doing their own thing instead of playing together as a part of that. And so
exactly
alignment of everything, which leads into like the impact side too, like that you were talking about. Do you think that like the most successful entrepreneurs are those that they're impact driven? Like I'm doing this because of a certain impact I want to have, or maybe I'm building this business because this allows me to grow this nonprofit that's very important to me. Do you feel like that's a common thing in some of the, I guess, large entrepreneurs and their growth? It's not as much just about money or growing something valuable. It's like I do this because of the impact I want it to have.
Yeah, I don't know if I would frame it as impact, although that is, I think a part of great leadership. Like you have these amazing leaders that like you think of people even like Mother Teresa, right? You think about Jesus, right, himself, right? And like movements are created that way. And I do think that is what you see in a lot of amazing leaders throughout history. But I also think there's another side, which is loving what you do and the curiosity of exploration and the curiosity of creation, right? So I think you see this in the Elon Musk. I'm not saying Elon Musk doesn't want to create a massive impact. Maybe he does, or Zuckerberg, right? It's like, does Zuckerberg really want to make the world more connected and it's all about connection? Or does he just love the product he was building and he loved it, right? From a curiosity standpoint, I think that's what you see. I think you either, and they're not mutually exclusive. Maybe you have both, but I just think you see a lot of great entrepreneurs. It's about the product they're building and the discoveries they're making, less about the result of the money. And that makes them be able to win, because when an Elon Musk sells PayPal or whatever for millions, he takes all of the money and puts it into Tesla and SpaceX. And you go, wow, how is he able to do that? Because it's not about the money to him. Zuckerberg was offered billions, right, and didn't sell. How was he able to do that? Because it wasn't about the money to him. It was just about building this great product. And I'm sure it was to impact people, but it's like when you love what you do, I've often thought about this because we've gotten offers with ReminderMedia. And people have offered us some decent amount of money that you could walk away and not have to work, type idea. And it's like, well, what would I do? Like, I love what I do. Like, I love the creation of what we're doing marketing wise. I love, the competition of business. And it doesn't mean I would never sell or something like that, but it's just like, I go, well, what would I do? And then I go, I like this. This is a vehicle and a gifting God has given me. I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. And, you got to do something. When you retire, you expire. So
And I guess that's how you're doing the right thing, right? Like entrepreneurs never retire. Like they got to go do something, right? Like retirement's like, okay, what am I working on now? Or I guess I'm getting back into business after selling my company, right? So I love that. It's for us. It's fun. It's enjoyment. It's a challenge. And like we said, grow business is not without its challenges. And I know you've had a few learning lessons over the years, things you've taken to heart or had to go through yourself. What are a couple of those that you've maybe gone through or grown that probably other people could only imagine having a challenge like that to go through? So
yeah, obviously with anything, it comes adversity. One challenge that I speak of every so often is, we made some bad decisions and we thought the magazine product wasn't taxed from a sales tax standpoint. Because in certain states, it's not. Direct mail has different rules in every state, but we just didn't have a good accountant and a good lawyer for the majority of the business. And we didn't care about those things. We were just trying to build the business. And we woke up one day after hiring a VP of finance, and the VP of finance came to me maybe a month or two in. I can't remember how long they had been here, but they basically said, hey, where's your sales tax stuff? And I was like, well, we don't owe sales tax on that product, because, it's not taxed. And he's like, I'm not sure about that. Let me research that. So anyways, he comes back, long story short, punch in the gut. We owed millions in back taxes. Ooh. I mean, millions. And enough that it would have sunk the company if the government would have found us before we would have gone to the government. And the government has a great program, a VDA program for anybody who finds themselves in a similar situation. You can go voluntarily disclose and admit you made a mistake you didn't realize. And they will, you still have to pay a lot of money, but they won't hit you with all the penalties, usually. So anyways, it took us almost 4 years to get out of that. And the thing that sticks with me in that, right, is one, it should be an encouragement to everybody. If you've made multi-million-dollar mistakes, you can still recover. It's never as bad as you think it is. You can always get through it. You got to put one foot in front of the other. So that's one definite lesson I learned from it. The other is you don't have to be the brightest to build a company, right? I went to community college and, boom, I'm sitting over top of that mistake. I've never done an accounting class before. I asked my VP of finance, because you could see, I hate to refer to him as Chicken Little, but he was kind of like Chicken Little. But I said, hey, man, no problem. We can get through this. Don't worry. Like, it is what it is. But it was an astronomical number that, oh my gosh, this is, and this guy's thinking, what the heck? This is crazy. I just said, don't quit on me. Don't quit. Just help me, right? Just help me through this. Help me put this. Well, what do you think he did? Within, I think it was like 3 weeks, he quit. Right. And here's this guy. And I go, hey, man, don't quit on me. And he quit. You ever had anybody quit on you? Have you ever had anybody quit on you in the moment you needed them the most? And you're just like, dude, that freaking sucks. And I remember being up at, our headquarters here. I was up here every night. My wife would tell you, like, till 3 a.m. trying to figure out how to calculate these taxes in these different counties and submit VDAs and all this crap, right? And you can learn through it. And it's just like, I learned through that process that, one, you got to know where your identity is. Because if you don't know where your identity is, it's very, very easy to get depressed and discouraged and down on yourself. And my identity, not to get religious on people, but my identity is found in Jesus and who I am in Jesus. And so it really helped me during that time, believe it or not, because it reminded me that, hey, no matter what happens with ReminderMedia, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because my identity is not in ReminderMedia. My identity is in who I am in Christ. Mm-hmm. And so I would just encourage people, I would encourage you to go to Jesus, but honestly, you got to find out who your identity is in. And where you get your purpose from and your meaning from. Because if you are depending on your meaning from your abilities, good luck. Good luck when you make some bad mistakes. So that was one that stuck with me. And then I just realized that, hey, look, at the end of the day, people are going to quit on you, and you cannot take it personally that they quit, and you cannot sit there and sulk over it and live in the frustration of, hey, these people quit on me. Hey, this happened to me. Hey, this is not my fault. I got bad advice. This victimhood mentality that everybody talks about. You can't live there, because though it feels good, it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you at all. And so, that was just one experience. I had another one where, I had it was basically 17 people technically, but quit on me in 2 weeks. I had another experience of that. So that was tough. I had a recent experience just, a quarter ago, almost 5 months ago now. We released our platform, and it did not go as planned. We had retooled our recipient manager, did not go as planned. The system was broken. We had our IT teams up till God knows the hours of, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. almost every night for 2 weeks straight, trying to fix this tech problem. Lost easily a couple $100,000 in this launch. And this is us, with hundreds of employees trying to plan things out, all this stuff. And we have that happening. And I just am saying this not to, go, woe is me. I'm just trying to tell people, hey, look, if you're going to do anything that is good and great, you are going to face failure and adversity, like we all know. The key is, do not let it stop you from making your next decision. Stop overthinking it and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And is there anything I go back and tell myself? I would tell myself, keep your motivation up. Stop being such a realist, because when you're young, you're so enthusiastic. You have so much belief. You have so much just, we're going to conquer the world. As you go through life beats you down, gives you scars, gives you reality checks. So a lot of people, that comes as wisdom. You have wisdom now, but the problem with wisdom is you paid the price, and wisdom takes away energy. Wisdom takes away, that's the wrong way to say it. When you've gained wisdom, the scars that got you the wisdom takes away your energy, takes away your motivation, takes away your willingness, because you don't want to go feel that scar again. I don't want to go through another tax thing again. I don't want to go through another system goes down when we just released it and I lose 200,000. I don't want to do it. That's the death of every leader. That's the death of every business. Look at the resiliency, whether you like him or not, of Donald Trump. Look at the resiliency of that man. And you go, yeah. That is leadership. Look at the resiliency of Elon Musk. That is leadership. And you can name it those are just really popular figures right now in the news. I'm just saying, look at the greatest leaders and their resiliency, their resolve. And I think it was Layla Hermosi said her measurement of resiliency is how fast you can get back to normal from getting knocked down. And it's I don't know. That's my rant to you of things I've experienced.
I love it. I love Layla and Alex. They're great. And I mean, I love part of that highlight of the internal versus external locus of control, right? That I can control my actions, how I respond to things, what I do, my next step forward, versus the external life happens to me, woe is me. I'm just at, the whims of the universe of what goes on, and I can't control anything. And I think that's where a lot of people fall into didn't work out, too bad, or ever, there's a challenge that popped up, guess I'm done here, versus the push through that of cool, that's something I need to take action on, right? And so, that.
And the greatest entrepreneurs, they get up fastest. They get up fastest, and they have a selective memory. They have a selective delusional memory. That's what I've learned. And they think they're the greatest still. And you need that, man, that, anything you can do, I can do better mentality. You have to have that. I want to invest in those people. Yep.
It's if Edison gave up after the first few attempts on that light bulb. I think,
or Joel Embiid for the 76ers. If you're a basketball fan, that's the thing I can't stand about him. I'm like, come on, Joel, stop. Dude, you're killing me, man. You don't have the heart of a champion. Anybody who watches 76ers basketball, they know what I'm talking about. Yep.
I'm from Atlanta. We can't win anything except
there you go.
Yeah, every couple decades we get a World Series maybe, but yeah, so it hurts my heart. So one day we'll get a football team that can close. So, but yeah, so So moving with part of these changes, responding to things, is also being willing to test and explore new things, which, I mean, you just talked about, launching the recipient manager, and always gotta be moving, right? Like if we're standing still, we're going backwards, right? And so part of that was one of the changes you made, like with your sales team, right? And to the demo based closing, like what kind of inspired some of these shifts, and when you look at some of these changes, and what kind of impacts of those made?
Yeah, so we recently changed our sales model. We've been a one call close type model for our whole history. And, that served us well, but we had flatlined in our sales growth. And growth is kind of like a staircase, is the analogy I've always heard that I really resonate with, which it's not a straight line. It is literally you go up, you flatline, you go up, you flatline, you go up, you flatline. And a lot of times the biggest thing that has shocked me about growing a company is that what solved the problem at 20 million is the actual problem at 50 million type idea. Like there's so many nuances of like, oh my gosh, it's not a straight line of like, you can even learn from here's how I solved it last time at 20 million. It's like, no. The way you solved it there won't work in this environment because you have more people, you have more things. So it's always growth will bring a flat line because there's new problems that happen now with more people, more products, more whatever. And so for us, we had hit a flat line of our sales and we couldn't, the problem was we were losing salespeople as fast as we were bringing them in and couldn't any longer get over we could up our classes, but then at that point you're bringing in 50 people a month. And that's just crazy, right? In terms of management, all this stuff. So it was kind of this problem of like, whoa, we have a sales team, but it churns too much. We're having to bring in too many new sales recruits. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is our salespeople aren't having enough success. So the job becomes too hard for them. So they end up quitting. And we can't keep them long enough to gain that. So we're having to hire. So it's like, well, how do we make the job better? Their closing rates aren't enough. So we worked so hard on trying to recruit the better people. Didn't work. Worked really hard on trying to fix the scripting. Mediocre success in trying to improve that. And so we finally came to the realization of going, hey, look, we need to think about it through the consumer's lens. That's probably where we should have started, and going, well, how would you want to buy? Are more people buying from one call closing or less people every day? And it's like, well, less people. Are more people wanting to see what they buy before they buy, or are more people not caring to see what they buy? And it's like, it's obvious once you start listing out what does the consumer want, what's the industry doing? So then we said, well, we need to test trying to sell people. We need to risk changing a model that brings in 20,000+ sales a year to see if we can get a model that will bring in 40,000 sales a year. And it's like, that is so hard to do because we're having success. And you might feel this. I don't know if you and Al feel this at all. It's like when you get some level of success is like paralyzing. Like success is like a place where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to mess up the golden goose. I don't want to change something. I don't want to fix something that's not broken. And I can't tell if this is the right move. And if it's not the right move, I could lose a model I could build it again, but it's bringing in 20,000+ sales, new accounts a year. And so we took the leap and, started to test it. And we found, I'll give you an idea. It's like our sample requests, we were closing between 15 and 20%, top producers closing 30 to 40%. Our minimum closing right now on sample requests is 50%, or you can't even get them. Our top producers are closing 80% through the demos. And so it's like astronomically better from a closing rate standpoint, which is awesome. It shows that the product kind of sells itself, honestly. But it's not a perfect system, but the lessons there, it's like if you're listening to this as a business owner and going, well, Luke, I don't have the same model as you, blah, blah, blah. No problem. The lesson there is you've got to look at it almost like an assembly line. And or a pipe is maybe better and you're trying to get the water through the pipe and the water's not coming out the way you want it to come out. You got to go to the first blockage in the pipe. Because you can remove all the other blockage, right? But if you don't remove the first, it's not going to go any further yet. So you got to go to the first place in the line and go, how do I just tackle this one by one? And you've got to also be willing to change everything or to to risk everything for the gain. It's like Elon Musk we mentioned earlier. He sells PayPal or whatever for millions and risk everything with SpaceX and Tesla. And so he deserves to be the richest guy like he is because of that great risk that he had. If Luke Acree wants to grow the company to the next level, what am I willing to risk? It's like the saying goes, if you want to make $1 million, you got to be willing to lose 100,000. If you want to make 10 million, you got to be willing to lose $1 million. If you want to make 100 million, you got to be willing to lose 10 million, right? So it's like that type of philosophy is what happened with us with the demo model. Is like we risked everything, and knock on wood, it is, praise the Lord, it's working so far. So check back with me in a year and see what I say. Yeah.
No, it'd be 100 billion, right? So,
yeah.
But that instead of getting tighter and playing more conservative, like still focus on that growth and what that looks like and what I need to experiment or implement in order to make that happen, because things change and markets change, and that's kind of what I kind of want to move to talking a little bit about, because that's the state of the market today, right? Like we've seen some of the fastest changing, impacting technology rolling out at light speed with AI that it's hard to even keep up with the stuff coming out and some of the terms that first the super geeks find out about. They get all excited, like what are they talking about, right? On what can be done here, but it's having so much impact on every industry, on aspects of life, personal, business, and stuff there. And it's exciting, but also, once again, things can't stay the same, right? And you talked about being willing to make shifts, even if things are going well, to have that continued growth and where you're going. And same thing like agents and insurance, like, hey, I have always bought leads and that's where I get sales from, where they come from. And maybe that is something I adapt from or change or implement something new, because maybe I see that starting to shrink or getting more challenging, or with some of these things coming out. So AI is probably one of the biggest shifts in insurance and real estate, and really and with everything. What are you most excited about in regards to that, or kind of thoughts about just AI and the industry in general, maybe even how you guys are approaching?
It's interesting, man. I mean, I wish I knew. I don't know if anybody truly knows what's going to happen. And I think the question is, we all know where it's going. It's pretty obvious where it's headed. From the standpoint of it's going to be able to automate most tasks over, the question is over what time frame? Like nobody knows the time frame in which we will get there. That's the big question. I'll tell you how we're using it today in ReminderMedia and how we're starting to implement it for our clients. So it's very good at helping you with content. It's making my writers a ton more efficient when it comes to blogs, when it comes to social media captions, when it comes to writing magazine articles and email newsletters. It is helping us there. On Facebook advertising, we are using AI imagery for our Facebook ads. It's really successful in the real estate space for pictures of houses. Like we're running tests today for videos of houses. I mean, the video has gotten so good that you can say, hey, give me a home in Lynchburg, Virginia, brick rancher, and $300,000 home, and it will create a video of that home, and it is freaking real enough to be able to put in a Facebook ad. So it's pretty awesome from a content creation standpoint. Still needs the human being, but it's making the human being a lot faster. Another way we're using it is we're looking at, and this is a good thing for any business owner to do, what are the repetitive things that we do all day long? So we get a ton of emails and we get a ton of call-ins. So I probably get 300 to 400 call-ins a day into my client success team. Okay. So I'm getting a ton of call-ins, a ton of emails coming in. What are the common themes that are coming in, and how could I get an agent to do those? So we have an agent that responds to probably 1/3 of our emails now, because those emails are all so similar in nature. It's able to look up details on the account and respond. That's super helpful because, I had a ton of people on chat and a ton of people on email, and I have less people now on that, and I could move that resource to other things. Same thing for call-ins. We're about to launch an agent for our call-ins where you're going to be able to talk to Stacy Shanner here, the AI virtual assistant at ReminderMedia, that will be able to help you move your deadline. That will be able to help you do some basic things that you really don't even want to talk to an agent to do, and even can hopefully teach you how to do it yourself in your interface. So we're using it to automate repetitive tasks but nothing sophisticated right now. Like we haven't figured out the sophistication. Last way we are kind of using it, besides like operational automations and stuff like that, we're using it in what I call is like, I call it like research and data analysis. Is like we are building out the structures to be able to, and I don't know if you guys are doing this yet or not, but it's like I'm literally going, hey, take on the role of a CFO. This is my problem set. This is the compensation structure I'm trying to build. Here's the data on it. And we are giving it and using it as a kind of what I call advisor on data analytics and compensation structures and HR and stuff like that. And it's pretty contracts. I do a lot of real estate. So I have a development we're doing of like 61 houses, and all of the contracts I ran through AI, like all of the development contracts, everything like that. And I used my attorney too, but I was able to save a lot of money in that way. So all of this is going, I don't know exactly where AI is going to go, but that's how ReminderMedia is using it today. We then introduced a bot for our clients, where our Facebook ads that we run for clients now has a bot built on OpenAI's LLM that will automatically respond through text message to your leads. It's so far pretty good. We're right under a 20% engagement rate, which is pretty awesome. I want to see how we just launched it like 2 months ago. So I want to see how it, progresses, but very, very happy with it so far. And next up is a bot that will interact with your relationships for you.
I love those use cases. And yes, we've taken data and just like, hey, here's our metrics, our sales KPIs, our, budgets, finances, and analyze this and pull conclusions from it and give it an identity, CFO, COO, whatever for that. But I love it being able to help pull out insights or solutions you may not spot just from being able to pull data together.
Have you used the deep research functions? Like, do you?
I have not. I will be honest. Elle is the super geek when it comes to that side. I find it super interesting, and I love leveraging it day to day. But she's the one who typically goes and experiments first.
It's pretty interesting. Like it's really good. I mean, you have to have your data, right? But it's pretty interesting. We gave it all of our problem set and all that we know of the market and everything like that, and asked it to go research and come back to us and tell us what it would advise us to do at ReminderMedia. And it was amazing. It spit out like a 17-page report. And the things it had thought of were things that we were already discussing and doing, which is like, you're like, oh, well, that doesn't help you very much. But think about that. Like we literally are combined. We have decades of experience in our business. And this thing literally goes, it like, one of the things it told us to do was lean into partnerships, corporate partnerships more. And we had already hired an EVP, like I had told you earlier, I think we were offline at that point, of partnerships. Like we were already leaning into that because it was very clear in the past. Like it was so crazy how good it was. And so now, like for everything we're doing, like my CRO, here's one thing he's using it for, all his one-on-ones. He has developed a GPT for each of his one-on-ones with his senior leaders. And he records his one-on-one with his, VP, and he feeds the transcript and the video into the GPT. And the GPT now, think about it, has the memory in the log of all the one-on-ones, and he can easily go to the GPT and go, hey, can you make sure that, what did we talk about last time? Hey, what is the trend you're seeing from our conversations that I need to be aware of? It is phenomenal, dude. It is like it's crazy what it can pick up.
It's so interesting because all that data and all that info would be so fragmented or never brought together or being able to analyze, but now it can. Yep. So, I mean, how much faster will it learn to think or solve conclusions? Like you said, that our collectiveness takes how long to
another one. We're using it on interviews. We're recording our virtual interviews and feeding the interview to the AI and asking it for its opinion. I mean, I'm just giving it for ideas for people out there. How do you, what's the most practical way an insurance agent should be using it right now? Yep. Go to your ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, whichever one of your choice that you use. Actually, go to all of them, honestly. Type in #1 Medicare agent in whatever area you're at. Type in who should I use for health and life in this area? See who comes up. Beautiful thing about AI, I had the expert Jason Pantana on Stay Paid the other day, and he goes, the greatest thing about AI is it's conversational. Ask it, what made you choose that agent? Ask it, what were the sources that you used in order to recommend that agent versus others? It will tell you why it chose the agent it did to suggest to you, or the multiple agents it chose. It will tell you the sites. What then is your action? Go and get on those sites, right? For in real estate, I just know this because I just did this with my brother's real estate team. They source Fast Expert all the time. OpenAI does, ChatGPT. So, Steven, get Acree Brothers profiles all bolstered up and stellar on fastexpert.com, because that is one of the ways that it's sourcing. Reviews is a huge one. So right now, if you're an agent in any business, you need to be getting as many reviews as humanly possible, especially on your Google business profile, because these review sites are going to be sourced to recommend agents through AI. That's just what my gut tells me.
And it's interesting what sources they choose, like you said, because it seems like Reddit plays into a lot of decisions off this. Even Google's thrown it to a lot of top results of like, let's pull one of a relevant Reddit threads for that too. So user generated content seems interesting.
Crowdsourcing content is great, because you know what I believe is like the future is trust. Like the future is you can get access to information, and it's, I shouldn't say it's the future because it really is today as well. It's just going to be heightened. You will be able to get access to any information instantly. The question is, do you trust it? And so how do I know that I should trust David and L or Luke Acree? And so verification is going to become a huge thing. Like verification is already a huge thing on Instagram and X and all this stuff. It's going to get bigger and bigger. It's like, how do I verify myself as the agent of trust in my local market? And so you got to think, well, who do people tend to trust? Review sites, news stations, things like that. That's how my brain starts to work. Like for ReminderMedia, I'm like, how do we make sure we're on every trusted industry site out there? And that way, when they're sourcing great marketing companies, they're going to the web and going, well, who does this company or news site recommend? Who does this? And if our articles are on there, we'll have a better chance of being the trusted source. So
I love that. And it goes with, because with the rise of all this AI generated stuff as well, is like, what's real, what's not, who do I trust? I don't know if you've talked to Javon or Betsy with Agent Verified, but that's something they're trying to do with the insurance industry with like a whole verification site and like certification, like immediately look that stuff up. And I think that's super powerful. One last use case too that you kind of referenced a little bit on the AI side is almost having it trained as different coaches. Like, okay, I have a situation. What would Cardone say about this? What would Nietzsche say about this? What would Gandhi or Jesus, and almost having these different impacts and perspectives to allow you to make a very well-informed conclusion. So I can have all these coaches in my pocket, essentially, of like, okay, you know how this person thinks, and there's enough information I can easily feed it to basically give me what would this person say? What would Luke Acree tell me about this, right? And I can get that input, and I can have a board of advisors of all these top advisors, essentially kind of helping guide me on stuff too, is interesting. So
I was given the advice by Drew Thompson. He's one of the main speakers in the real estate industry for Rio brokerage right now. And he talks a lot about AI, but he was saying a really smart thing to do right now is journal every day with your AI, literally open voice mode, tell it about your day. And you will be feeding it all this information. And then think about it. You can literally say, take on the role of a counselor, take on the role of what you're saying. Like, what would Grant Cardone say about what I'm doing with my daily activity? And so you'll be surprised, because I already see my AI do this. It like knows things about me. And I'm just like, how did it know that? And I'm like, oh yeah, a year ago, I was at and I was like, geez, crazy. It's only going to get worse.
I like it for social content and stuff too. The more I tell it about myself and stories and past, and I'll just have it ask me questions and respond back, so that later on I go like, hey, I need a story to kind of represent like trust or an obstacle. And like, oh yeah, you remember this story you told me back about this, and it will now create, oh, I've now got a perfect solution, or pulling from my own stories or a client stories for pieces of content and stuff too. Like, yeah, it's just makes us like, okay, I can't remember things. Why did I walk in this room again? But AI's got me solved. Like, ChatGPT, why did I walk in the room? Oh, to get a cup of coffee. Okay, now I remember why I'm here, right? So just do it for me, right? So I know we could talk about this like on and on and on, and I look forward to doing some more podcasts for you or with you for sure. I love talking about all these topics and relationships. But as far as kind of one of the parting questions a little bit, like what's one thing you believe about trust, content, or growth that most people still get wrong that you'd like to impart?
I would tell people, and this ties back to something I said earlier, I think with sales, is that I think the biggest problem most people face with their content and with building trust is they don't come straight out with their intention and their value proposition. Another way to say it is they're not authentic in their content. And the problem we have is that we try to give the version of ourselves that we think people want to see versus who we are and what we believe. And the more you can get comfortable with who you are, what you believe, why you believe it, and be unapologetic in it, the more and more successful you will be in building trust, in building content, all of that stuff, because you will be like a magnet, as they say. You will repel 50% of people and you will attract 50% of people. But through that, you'll actually be able to build friendships, real friendships. You'll be able to build real business. And that has been a struggle for me. I struggled for years and maybe still do. Was just maybe because of my childhood and performing as a child and all the way up. I was always in performance mode, and maybe to this day even have that in my mind. And that's why I have a bias to it. But it's like, oh man, just being comfortable with who you are 100% of the time. And I shared this on Camper's podcast not too long ago. It's just, I just want to be 100% truthful 100% of the time. Like that is just what I want to be. And I strive to be it. Nobody is that, even though we all hope we are. And so that's really been my challenge to myself, because I think that will attract the people that are supposed to be attracted to me and then repel the ones that aren't. So.
Which is perfect when you're working with the people that you can help the most, that get you, that love you, that you can have the most impact with. Like, that's fulfilling. That's great. And when you can avoid working with those that don't, that suck the energy out or negative and pull all that away, then that's also amazing when you don't have to do that as well. So, and it's harder work to be someone else than be you, right? So like, that's
bingo.
Just be me, right? So I love that. Thank you so much, Luke. I appreciate that. And for those that would love to connect, to follow, and to plug into what you're doing, what you got going on, I would love if you can share that, especially the podcast. I know you have an amazing one. Love if you can tell them where to find you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Would love to connect with you all personally. You can find me at Luke Acree. Acree is Acree. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Our podcast is Stay Paid Podcast. So we want to help you stay paid. So we interview incredible experts all around the world in a bunch of different industries. So I would love for you guys to check that out at Stay Paid Podcast or staypaidpodcast.com. And then, of course, you guys know I run ReminderMedia. So if you want to check that out, you can always Google that as well.
I love it, guys. And we'll have the links for those as well as all the show notes and everything. If you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, you can grab them all here. Once again, Luke, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Guys, go check it out. Go follow the podcast. Check out Reminder Media. It's all about relationships. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. We'll see you guys on the next one.